Here's a poem. Over my toes goes the soft sea wash. See the sea wash. The soft sand slip. See the sea slip. The soft sand slide. See the sea slide. The soft sand slap. See the sea slap. The soft sand wash over my toes. Now, here are some suggestions for you. Before you read this poem to the children, you could talk with them about how wherever we are, there are sounds. You could get them in pairs talking about some sounds they've heard in different places. Remind them perhaps to think about holiday places as well as neighbourhood places and indoors and outdoors. And then you could get them to think about the seaside and the sound of the sea. Have they all been to the sea? If there are children who haven't been to the seaside, get the ones who have to talk about the sounds of the seaside to the ones who haven't. What are the sounds they remember? And now you could read them this poem, perhaps give them copies, get them in pairs to think up ways of reading the poem. Suggest that maybe one can make sounds of the sea while the other one reads it, or in any other way they like. And then suggest that the children could, for example, pick out key words from the poem, put these single words on big pieces of paper and hold them up when the reading of the poem gets to that word. There's a Bob Dylan video of him doing this in a song that he sings. And now you could ask the children in pairs to look at their copies of the poem to see if they can find any pattern in the poem. A pattern's where the same thing happens again and again, often with slight differences. That's the way you could put it. They could draw or write on their copy of the poem, showing how there are patterns and repetitions, bits that are repeated. One pattern is that each time I say a phrase like the soft sea wash, in the next line I say sea, and then I repeat the last two words of the line before, as with see the sea wash. They'll probably spot that. And then ask the children in pairs to talk about why I might have written the poem like that. What was Michael Rosen trying to do? You could role play it and someone pretend to be Michael Rosen and the others interview him. Now, the children are going to have a go at writing their own sound poems. Yeah? They could write them any way they like. They don't have to follow my shape or form or pattern, and you can say that several times. They can write their own seaside poem, or you can say they could write their own poem on any other place that has sounds. What might that be? You can brainstorm this, get them talking in pairs about what that place might be, and then in the plenary with everybody, share these different sound places and write them up so everyone can see it. Now, there's a teaching aim here. In their poems about, well, let's say it might be a street or a market or the wind or a storm or rain, or what about the dinner hall? The aim is to come up with words which sound like the sounds in the place without necessarily using the famous onomatopoeia words like smash or bang or whiz. It's trying to find words that have onomatopoeia-like sounds in them. In my poem, I chose lots of words that have the letter S, the sound S in them, because I think the waves on the sand make an S sound, make a S. If, let's say, you were doing a wind sound poem, you might say that sh or phew sounds like the wind. So what sh words could you use? And of course here you can use dictionaries and Roget's thesaurus online to find some, like brush, swish. Well, that's an onomatopoeia one, isn't it? But shall, should, show, push, wish, rush. And maybe some S words too. Thistle, rustle, whistle, hustle. So once the children have chosen a place with sounds, you could ask them in pairs to decide what main letter sounds fit that place. So in a street, it might be vroom, vroom for cars or lorries, or it could be several. It could be the bang of the doors. So we might be looking for the words and r words, and then b words for the bang. And this looking for words that have those sounds in them is best done in pairs. And of course, as I say, you can use dictionaries and Roget to help you. Now, when you found a list of words that have those sounds in them, the question is, can you make up a poem that uses the words? And we can always remember It doesn't have to make perfect sense. It can be just a stream of words and sounds that make a kind of sense. And then you can get the children to share the poems in different ways, making the sounds as well as reading the poems as a teaching point here. In this workshop, you're exploring the relationship between sounds, letters, and words. It is phonics, but it's also what's called synesthesic. That means that we have ways of expressing meaning through the sound of words. Onomatopoeia is the obvious way we can do this, but we can also create that in sequences of words that sound like the thing we're describing, just as I did with my poem Over My Toes. This way we discover that what we call meaning is not always separate from sound. It often is separate, but not always. So this workshop allows us to explore, experiment and discover this. Another useful word here, prosody, exploring how poems and all writing use the musicality of how we say words.
Now, it would be great if you subscribed. That is, you become a subscriber. Look out for the subscribe button. What happens, you see, is that I make new vids every few months, and then I post them up one a week for a while. So if you subscribe, you get to see the new ones just as they come hot off the press. Eeeew.